Hello there. So the last 2 years, I have been on a journey, and as of yesterday, February 7th, 2024, I have been diagnosed with level 1 autism spectrum disorder. Yes, at the age of 31. I guess you could say better late than never, but today I'm going to be going through the process in which it was very challenging to get a diagnosis at age 31, because it seems like the American healthcare system, with all of its problems and how abysmal that it is even harder to get looked at for issues when you're an adult, because so much of ADHD is examined and looked at when people are children. And that's what I found through trying to even find somebody who could even give me the proper assessment and tools to see if I have the diagnosis. Was getting help as an adult is way more challenging than I thought it would be. So I'm going to go through from start to finish how I got to this point. And we're going to go through my assessment. We're going to go through some personal stuff. You get to see some things that I haven't really talked about publicly much on the internet. But I figured that this could be helpful for a lot of folks who may be watching, who may think that you are struggling with certain aspects, or you may think that you have autism, because it was for me, and it took my whole life now for me to figure out that I have this, and now I can take proper tools to ways to improve myself and better make myself a better member of society. In early 2022, it was brought to my attention that I may have autism. Now, initially when this was brought to my attention, I was very defensive and dismissive of even the notion of having it, but the more that these folks around me pointed out certain tics and certain issues that I struggle with and certain things that bother me to the point where I can't concentrate, it became more apparent that they may be correct and I may be wrong. It was a tough swallow pill, because I knew I was dyslexic. I knew that I struggled with things socially and understanding social cues and body language stuff growing up. But as I've gotten older, I have found that I've been struggling with those things, especially in the last few years, even more and more. So I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. So I started the journey of trying to get diagnosed to see if I have, autism. So first things first, if you're not familiar with the American healthcare system, it is an absolute. Getting help as an adult is a lot more difficult, especially if, as of this last year, my insurance ran out and I no longer qualified for insurance, state insurance, which I've been on for quite a few years because I made above the certain amount that I qualify for. So this last year and a half, I haven't had health insurance, so I wanted to do this assessment all self-paid out of my own pocket. It was pricey, I'm not gonna lie. If you do not have insurance and you don't have the money for this, I would wait on doing it and save your money, because this costs around $2,500. In 2022, I attempted to meet with my normal physician doctor, only to find out that, hey, my doctor had dropped me because I was not aware, and this is a doctor that I've had for over 10 years, I have to do regular yearly checkups with my doctor, and if you don't check up with your doctor every year, they can just drop you as a client. I didn't know that, so I called my doctor, and they're like, yeah, you're dropped as a client. He doesn't have any openings. So I'm like, great, fantastic. Now I have to find a new doctor, which in of itself was a whole challenge for me to even find, because every doctor around here seemed to be booked, or booked a year and a half in advance, to where I couldn't get a doctor's appointment a year and a half, because I just wanted a basic physical, because one of the jobs that I was applying for required me to have a certain physical, and I needed that done, and I wanted to ask my doctor about, an autism diagnosis and some resources for that, if they can do that, if they can diagnose me, and where I would get resources as an adult to get a diagnosis. So I spent months trying to find a doctor. Everybody was booked. So I found one who was open, and I booked him, and it was a 9-month wait time to have my appointment, to have my basic blood tests, all my normal tests. But up before that 9-month period, the day I had my appointment scheduled, I had of course, a crazy life emergency, and I had to cancel and move the date. Little did I realize is that if you change a doctor's appointment, I had to wait an additional almost 8 to 10 months to get another appointment.
We interrupt this program for an important news announcement.
Special thanks to the sponsor of the channel today, Vance Global. Do you struggle with sleep? Does your grandpa or grandma have joint pain? Have you ever just want to sit back, relax, eat, and doze off for the next few hours? Vance Global, you can do exactly that. Every single one of their products is lab tested. There are no chemicals, there are no additives. It is all natural and will leave you craving for more. My mother struggles with arthritis, and they have been influential in fixing her joint pain and allowing her a good night's sleep. My dad also beat cancer, and products such as these can help tremendously with relief. If one thing doesn't fit your personal need, they have an alternative, and I want to promote these products so that I can help you, but also you can help me by using my discount code. If right now you go to vanceglobal.com and use code REPSION at checkout, you're going to get 20% off all of your orders. They ship to all 50 states in America directly to your door. They have biodegradable filters, and these are some of the highest quality hemp products that you can get on the market today. If you don't believe me? Check out their Google review. I mean, they have a 4.8 rating. Almost every single review is ranting and raving about how good these products are. I've been promoting them for almost 2 years now. They have CBD, HHC, carts, gummies, and Delta 8 is the diversity of their product line. They have something that meets everyone's personal needs. So click the link down below in the description and use code REPSION at checkout and experience relaxation today. So 2022, my appointment now stemmed into 2023, around middle of 2023. And so eventually I get to that appointment. I sit down with my doctor. I go through all my tests, right? They ask me a bunch of things. He's like, so why are you actually here today? We did your blood test. You're all normal. Everything's fine. Why are you here? I'm like, I think I may have autism. I explained to him certain traits, certain issues. He's like, I don't think you're autistic. You seem very socially aware. You're able to talk to me. Really, I don't see anything that would indicate that you have autism. But I can't diagnose you with autism because I'm just a normal physician. You need to go see a psychologist, a psychiatrist for that specifically. And I'm like, and I asked him, like, what's the difference between a normal physician, psychiatry, a psychologist, blah, blah, blah. He's like, psychiatry have the tools to do this. But I guess a lot of psychiatrists aren't specialized in the area of autism, which I soon found out because I contacted a bunch of psychiatrists that don't specialize, or if they did specialize in autism, the frustrating thing is I found is that they only specialize in children. I talked to about 10 different psychiatrists that only specialize in diagnosing it for children, which is an overwhelming trend here, it seems, in Washington, is that they only have resources for children. And I was feeling really, really defeated at that point. And then I was also told by multiple different psychiatrists that I don't seek certain psychiatrists can diagnose autism, but also that primarily I need to meet a psychologist who specializes in autism, who can diagnose me, which is, I still don't know at this point what's true, what is. It's super confusing. I was pretty much put in this giant loophole where I kept going to a psychiatrist who then told me I need to go to a psychologist. I met with a psychologist who told me that I need to meet with a psychiatrist. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, still doesn't make any sense to me. Point is, I was defeated. I'm like, okay, you know what? This is just never going to happen. I'm never going to find any resources. I'm not going to find anybody who I can talk to that I can actually get a diagnosis on adult autism. This is impossible. I pretty much gave up for a month. And then I had my normal therapy appointment, and I broke down to my therapist like, I have issues that I'm really struggling with that I need to know if I have this or not, so I can take the proper steps in learning how to to improve these aspects of my life, right? And so my therapist is amazing, did a bunch of digging for me and actually gave me a bunch of companies or medical places certain places that specialize specifically in diagnosing adults with autism. It's crazy that I had to go to my therapist in order to find these resources, because these resources were nearly impossible for me to find, and I kept getting a loophole by all the people that I was talking to. It was so frustrating. But eventually, with my therapist, I found a place, and it was $350 an hour. My assessment was like a 2-hour phone call, and then I had to do an in-person interview questionnaire, which was about 3 to 4 hours, and they asked me lots of personal questions. It was a lot of check marks, and scoring myself on a scale of 1 to 10. A lot of things that I didn't really know what they were. They're just questions. They're rating me on a scale. How's my daily life? Do I fold my laundry? Do certain textures bother me? Does this blah, blah, blah. Some of them are really repeat questions. It was a lot, right? So I had like 4 different appointments. My third appointment, I had to change the date, and apparently I didn't read the fine print when I did my medical stuff with this medical place. And apparently if you change your appointment within 48 hours and say, hey, I gotta cancel or change the date, they charge you a fee of $500, which I was not happy about. So I am equating $500 into this $2,500. So it costs about $2,000, but I paid $2,500 because they charged me $500 to change a date. Which I was super angry about. I've never been in any place where I've changed an appointment. I've had a, late fee or a cancellation fee, but $500, wow. When they charged me that, I was so upset and angry because I didn't read the fine print. So it's technically my fault, but at the same time, it's like this fine print that it's like 40 some documents, right? Like you're a new patient, right? You're not going to read everything, but I didn't read the whole thing, and I missed that. So I was really angry about that. $500 just to change the date. But yeah, so be warned of that. Read the fine print if you are a new patient at a new practice, because who knows how much they will charge you. And the crazy thing is, at that time they charged me, I didn't have the money and my credit card was already charged, so I got charged a late fee. It was a whole ordeal. I bitched at them, and then they talked to their manager, who then gave me a discounted rate for the next appointment I had with them because of that, even though I still paid the $500, but whatever. Money, saving a little bit of money is saving a little bit of money. So yeah. And as of February 7th, I had my final assessment, and then they sent me the data, the paperwork, and we're going to go through that right now on my autism diagnosis. These are the measures they use. Look, I'm not a professional. This is like typical like psychology stuff on diagnosing people. I went through all of this stuff. Don't ask me what it is, what it does, because I'm not a professional here. I have a history with therapy. My family household, nothing crazy there. My social history reports struggles with making friends since childhood and difficult in making close friendships. Has struggled with reading body language since a young age. Struggles with catching sarcasm in jokes and conversations. So that's one of the things that really set me off that I may have autism, was my ability to, especially in text messages, texting specifically text, I have a hard time reading between sarcasm and getting jokes. And sometimes in person, I take people really literally. I've had so many instances where people will make a joke and I literally look at them deadpan in the eyes and I'm like, what, really? Like, I'm gullible, like really gullible, and able to just think that whatever's being said to me is serious, even though it's clearly being presented in a joking, sarcastic manner. That was the first indication that I may have this, is because I'm like, I should have got that joke. And then usually the person has to say, I'm joking, or explain the joke to me for me to understand it. Now, in the last year and a half and going through therapy, I have improved exponentially with reading body language and people and social cues and sarcasm and jokes. But when it comes to texting and communicating through text, Discord, any sort of text communication, I still really struggle with reading text and understanding jokes and just processing that type of level of information. I didn't expect is that when I did my 2 assessments with this psychologist, that they actually examined really my behavioral observations and anecdotal data. I didn't know that they were actually examining me with this. They were just asking me questions, right? And I would answer these questions that they would ask me. Such as like, do you have any textures that bother you? Is there certain tastes that bother you? Smells? Auditory. There's a lot of auditory issues that really bother me. Really, really crazy loud noises. I can't concentrate at all, like period. As I've gotten older, my ability to multitask has actually been diminishing. And I've been struggling with multitasking, and it's really easy for me to get distracted. I can be playing a video game or doing school or doing anything, just work related, and then somebody can talk to me and mention Star Wars, and then all of a sudden my brain, I am in a whole nother world thinking about Star Wars and the universe of Star Wars and lightsabers and the Force and Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader. Like, if you don't know that, I love Star Wars. Like, it's an actual obsession. And I get so distracted so easily, and it's really hard for me to focus on one task if I get distracted. If I'm focusing on one task, right, I can complete it. I can be productive. I can focus and get it done. But if I get distracted by something, my brain will completely forget what I was doing. It's like a task thing. Like, I have to complete one thing before I start another, because if I don't, then I'm going to completely forget what I was doing. And sometimes this happens even in me speaking. Talking like I'm talking to you right now. There's been instances where I've talked to somebody, then I get distracted, and then I don't remember what I was just talking about. And it's like it's getting worse and worse as I'm getting older. So that's why I'm like, I need to know if I have this, if I have autism. But yeah, I was really shocked that they were observing me with and making, you know, notes and stuff about me as I was talking with them. Noted difficulty with processing questions with multiple parts and needed to have it broken down. This is something that I guess is prevalent with people who may have autism. Is if I have somebody, let's say I get in an argument with somebody personally IRL, and somebody like drop loads me 50 paragraphs, like a text message, like super huge, right? Or they're just like information overload with me, with like they're upset, and then this, all these things I've done wrong, like all at once. I become overloaded, or they would call it stimuli or whatever, and I can't really. I get so overwhelmed with how much information is being presented to me that I can't really conceptualize or process it the way that individual may want me to process it. I can process it, but it will take me several days thinking about the conversation or whatever happened in that gigantic text. And I will actually go back in text messages or think about that situation over and over and over and over, days after the fact, breaking it down in my head, trying to understand, because it was so much. And when I say a lot, I mean like massive amounts of information. I can't comprehend it. And it really helps for me when I have things broken down into sections, when I do reading comprehension, or just even in conversations. Some people have it really bad to where like you can't even say 5 sentences and they get overloaded. But thankfully I'm not that, you know, I don't struggle with it that much, but it does struggle it's evident in my day-to-day life, and it's something that I noticed about myself. So first things first, the MGDOS. As you can see, consistent with ASD, ASD, ASD. If I did say ADS, I do apologize. I'm dyslexic, and it's actually coming out in the goddamn video that I'm talking about. ASD, Autism Spectrum Disorder. I think I said ADS at the start of the video. Sensory seeking routines function, consistent with ADSD. Sensory use and interests, ASD. Body movements and mannerisms, consistent with ASD. Content preferred topics, ASD. Quality, clarity, and relevance of speech, consistent with ASD. Reciprocity, consistent with ASD. A nonlinear language and humor, unclear social relationships and emotional responses, eye contact and gaze. I've always been pretty strong with that, thanks to YouTube. Anxiety and agitation level, perception and self-relation to others, consistent with ASD. Self-awareness and anger and agitation triggers, not consistent with ASD. These are my ARS-2 scores. They explain this to me. It's too complicated for me to explain to you. If you're somebody who specializes in this field, you know what this stuff means, right? But the most relevant thing, the most biggest thing for me in all this was these final 2 paragraphs right here. This assessment revealed that Daniel has experienced significant challenges within several domains of socialization, including social cognition, social communication, and social motivation, social interaction, and some restricted repetitive behaviors indicated by the SR2 results. They indicate a strong likelihood for diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, with the MGDOS also showed challenges in language and communication, as well as sensory use of interest, though the results were unclear within social relationships and social responses. Daniel's constellation of symptoms are best experienced with the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. This is evidenced by his social challenges, difficulty with recognizing and interpreting social cues, struggles with social nuances, low motivation for socializing, display of repetitive and compulsive behaviors, i.e. reports of hyper-focusing on certain subjects or interests, topics, participating in preferred activities for extended periods of times, behaviors such as pacing, rocking, foot tapping, sensory differences, sensitivity sensitivities to loud noises, difficulty with processing conversations when there's a lot of stimuli, emotional regulation, meltdowns when feeling overwhelmed, and feelings of stress and anxiety with unexpected changes. This was a huge one because I always felt better on routines, right? I, growing up, had a lot of routines, and when I had routine changes, it would really make me feel like everything around me was falling apart. So big, crazy, emotional or crazy life changes does and has affected me in exponential ways. And I didn't realize that this was actually a symptom of being autistic. I had no idea, right? While some of his outward symptoms are mild, not outwardly apparent, not all these behaviors were observed during testing. This is likely due to Daniel's tendency to mask his symptoms. His ability to mask and social awareness shows Daniel has a strength in being able to adapt to certain social situations over time, despite the challenges his symptoms have brought. Now, something that I didn't know about this autism stuff, right? Now, something that I didn't know about this autism stuff is that I didn't even realize that I had been masking. Masking is a real thing in people who have autism, and shockingly, I have been doing it, like, not knowingly, to adapt in social situations. I scored really high on the CAT-C scale, which indicated camouflaging myself. And I guess this is like a learned behavioral type of thing in regards to why many people don't see that I am now officially diagnosed with autism, and most people still probably wouldn't recognize that in interactions with me because I mask it so well. And I was just really blown away by that. I wasn't aware I was even doing it. I wasn't aware this was something that I learned, that I overcame. So that last sentence there, when it says like I really have adapted to social situations, and that's one of my strengths, and that I'm also very socially aware, I was kind of shocked by, because some people with autism are not socially aware. And in especially these last 6 to 8 months, I've been really working with my therapist to work with me IRL, in real life, to see, understand, and recognize cues and awareness on things that previously I have not. Because in prior friendships and relationships, there's many instances where somebody could be opening up to me emotionally, and I would be so shut down or not able to recognize, hey, this person is in need of comfort. This person is in need of me saying something that could calm them down. This person is overwhelmed. They are crying. And in instances of these, whether it be friendships, relationships, marriages, I didn't recognize these things. And that's not a direct result of autism. I want to make that very clear. But it definitely has blended into that, if that makes sense. Because for those of you who don't know, in the last 3.5 years, I had some crazy traumatic stuff happen, like PTSD level. I've been diagnosed with PTSD as of actually, when was it? I think it was middle of 2020. No, it was the start of January of 2023. PTSD is something that I scored very high on when I did all my assessments for that. And my therapist was like, yeah, you score crazy high with complex PTSD. I have ADHD, right? But if you know, you know. I'm not going to go into details because I can't legally, because we had a settlement, but it was very well documented on this YouTube channel, the legal stuff that I was going through. But everything that happened in those 3.5, almost 4 years really set me back. I'm talking like personally, developmentally. I shut down emotionally around everybody. I was just completely emotionally cut off. Like in friendships, relationships, everything. Like I couldn't relate to people. I couldn't respond to people accordingly when somebody had a need. If somebody was hurting, if somebody was stressed, if somebody had anxiety, I couldn't respond to people's personal needs. And that's a huge detriment to personal relationships, right? And the autism is not to blame for that, but it definitely overlapped because I shut down, and then me being shut down with having a DS, right? It it affected me tenfold. Like, what would normally affect somebody affected me more than the average person would. And because of that, it has been an ongoing battle I would say the last year or so, to really improve and figure out issues that I can improve myself and be a better person in responding to people and their needs and their emotions, in every aspect of my life, right? Because I let myself become emotionally shut down, but also now I have proper tools with this new diagnosis of autism, level 1, that I can be better suited to just be healthier, to fix issues that I've been struggling with my whole life. Because now I know. Now I know I think differently. I don't think differently because I'm weird. I don't think differently because there's something wrong with me. I think differently because I have autism, and that's okay. And me having autism doesn't change who I am as a person, right? It doesn't change what I've been through. All it means is that I have some bigger hurdles that I have to figure out and work through, and I have to take extra time for myself to work through those things, and I need help doing that. And that's okay. And I want to be here today that if you have autism, I don't care if it's levels 1 through 3, you're low functioning or high functioning, you're worthy of love. You're worthy of care. You're worthy of having somebody be your friend. You're worthy of everything that everyone else is worthy of that doesn't have autism, or I think what they call it now is neurotypicals, people who don't have autism. You want to feel loved. You want to feel cared for. You want friends. You want close relationships, friendships, whatever. And you deserve that just as much as I do and anybody else. And there's been a lot of personal stuff in my life these last few years where I've questioned that if I deserve that, not knowing that I do, because I always thought there was something wrong with me. And now that I have autism, there's nothing wrong with me, but it helps me understand how to deal with things differently in a way that can benefit my life and the people around me. And that's my words of encouragement, okay? I didn't put this out there to garner sympathy. I don't want people to be like, oh my God, you have autism, I feel sorry for you. No, fuck that. There's nothing, there's no anything. That doesn't excuse anything, right? Autism doesn't excuse you being a shitty person. Autism doesn't excuse you lacking in certain abilities. All it means is that you struggle in certain areas, and this is why. Now you can take different tools and you can better prepare yourself for the future. That's why I made this video. You're not alone, okay? You know, I always wondered why I had so many people with autism watch me on YouTube. Now it makes sense. Because people who with autism also attract other people with autism. So it makes sense, right? So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. I know this was a personal video. I don't do videos like this, but I hope you learned something. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. I will have a new video sometime next month. But until next time, thanks for watching. Please support the sponsor of the channel today. They help me a lot. They help my family a lot. They help viewers a lot. Vance Global is an amazing company, and their products are phenomenal. So thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys all next month for another video. Peace.